Welcome to another Nucida video. If you like it, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and click the bell. Never forget our upcoming sessions. If you have any questions or hints, please leave a comment. Our certified QA experts will reply in time. White box testing at the unit test level is very important in professional software development today. But how to establish effective testing to accomplish, comprehend, and stable software solutions? There are a lot of test design techniques available to optimize the test focus and the quality assurance. I'd like to start talking about the statement test coverage. Each criterion is characterized by two aspects. The first is the test items that shall be proved, and the second is how we measure coverage for that criterion. In the case of statement coverage, the mentioned test items are all the statements in the program. This is the most basic, the first, and the simplest coverage in the white box test type area. Let me remind you of the assumption we made at the beginning. White box testing assumes that if there is a faulty element in the code, we need to exercise it, or we need to execute it to find the fault. And that's exactly what statement coverage does. If there is a faulty statement in the code, we need to execute it to reveal the fault. Therefore, a good measure of how well we exercise the code is the ratio of the number of statements executed by our test cases to the total number of statements in the program. The higher this number, the better we exercise the code. We can also look at the coverage criterion in the form of a question. When we look at a specific set of test cases and assess the statement coverage they achieved, the question is whether each statement in the program has been executed. Statement coverage is satisfied when all the statements in the program have been executed. It can be satisfied to different degrees, and the degree to which it is satisfied is measured by this percentage value. Now, let's go ahead and measure statement coverage on our print sum example. What I'm going to show down here is this progress bar, which indicates the amount of coverage, the percentage of coverage achieved. The progress bar scale is 10%, 20%, 30%, etc. of the statements in the code. My goal is to get all the way up here to cover 100% of the statements at the right side of this bar. We have two test cases for this code. The first one uses the inputs a equals 3 and b equals 9. The second one uses the inputs a equals -5 and b equals -8. Let's see what happens when we run the first test case. I'm going to highlight the parts of the code that are covered. When we start executing the code, we cover the first statement. Then we always execute the second statement, which computes the result. We continue execution and reach the if statement, if the result is greater than 0. In this case, our result is 12 because we are working with the inputs 3 and 9. Therefore, we execute the true branch of the if and the statement inside it. At this point, we jump to the end because we do not execute the else part of the if statement. We also cover the final statement. At the end of the execution of this test case, we covered statements 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7. That means 5 statements out of 7, or a test coverage of about 71%. So we can state here that we reached approximately 71% coverage for this code. Now let's look at what happens when we execute test case number 2. Again, we execute the first statement, the second statement, and the third statement. When the third statement evaluates the value of result, it sees that the result is not greater than 0 because our inputs are a equals -5 and b equals -8. Therefore, it executes line 5, and because the result is less than 0, it also executes line 6. Thus, we executed 6 statements of 7 that marks a coverage of about 85%. If we combine both tests, we cover all the statements in our code. Therefore, we achieved 100% statement coverage, which was our goal. Before looking at other kinds of coverage, let's see how statement coverage is used in practice. First, statement coverage is the most widely used coverage criterion in industry. For companies that use statement coverage, the typical coverage target is 80 to 90%. This means that the outcome of testing should be between 80 to 90% of all the statements in our software solution being exercised by the end of testing. Now, let's focus on another type of test coverage, branch coverage. As usual, I'm going to describe branch coverage in terms of test items and coverage measures. The test items for branch coverage are the branches in the program. In other words, the goal of branch coverage is to execute all the branches in the program. The coverage measure is defined accordingly as the number of branches executed by the test cases divided by the total number of branches in the program. Let me remind you that branches are the outgoing edges from a decision point. Therefore, any if statement, while statement, or any node in the control flow graph, CFG, that has more than one outgoing edge, those edges are called branches. Let's look at this using our print sum example. In addition to the code, I also want to represent the respective CFG for that program. First, let's see how many branches we have in our code, i.e. how many test items there are. In this case, there are two decision points, the first corresponding to the first if statement and the second corresponding to the second if statement. So we have 4 branches in total. Now let's bring back our current set of test cases, the 2 that achieved 100% statement coverage, and see what happens in terms of branch coverage. When we execute the first test case, we follow the code until we reach the first decision point. Because the predicate in the if statement is true, we follow the true branch and then exit the program. In this case, we covered one of the branches, which means we achieved 25% coverage. When we run the second test case, we again follow this path. We reach the first if statement. In this case, the predicate is false, so we take the false branch. Then we reach the second if statement, where the predicate is true, so we follow its true branch. This adds 2 more branches that represent 50% of branch coverage. At this point, we are at 75% of branch coverage if we consider also our first test besides the second test. But we are still missing one branch, the case where both predicates are false. None of the inputs we considered executed at this branch. Therefore, we need to add an additional test case. The simplest possibility is a test case where A equals 0 and B equals 0. If we execute this test case, we follow the false branch of the first if, and because the result is not less than 0 either, we also follow the false branch of the second if. We therefore achieve 100% branch coverage, executing all 3 tests. Something I would like to clarify before we move to the next topic is that 100% coverage does not provide any guarantee of finding all the problems in the code. All we have seen so far is that by testing more thoroughly, we have a greater chance of finding problems. But no matter which kind of coverage we use or how much coverage we achieve, there is always a chance that we might miss something. I will return to this point later in the lesson. I just mentioned that we tested more thoroughly when we moved from statement coverage to branch coverage. What does that mean exactly? To explain it, I'm going to introduce the concept of test criteria subsumption. One test criterion subsumes another criterion when all test suites that satisfy the stronger criterion will also satisfy the weaker one. Let me show you this with statement and branch coverage. If we have a test suite that achieves 100% branch coverage, the same test suite will also necessarily achieve 100% statement coverage. That is what happened in our example, and what happens in general. Because branch coverage is a stronger criterion than statement coverage, there is no way to cover all the branches without also covering all the statements. It is not true, however, that any test suite that satisfies statement coverage will also satisfy branch coverage. In fact, we just saw a counterexample with the print sum code. We had a test suite that achieved 100% statement coverage but did not achieve 100% branch coverage. Therefore, we have a subsumption relation in this direction. Branch coverage subsumes statement coverage. What this also means is that, in general, it is more expensive to achieve branch coverage than statement coverage, because achieving branch coverage usually requires generating a larger number of test cases. What I'm going to do next is introduce a few additional coverage criteria using a slightly more complex example, but still a simple one. What I'm showing here is a program that reads 2 real numbers x and y. Then, if x is not equal to 0 or y is greater than 0, it computes y as y divided by x. Otherwise, it computes x as y plus 2. Finally, it writes the values of x and terminates. Let's also introduce the control flow graph, CFG, for that program. As you can see, the CFG represents the statements in the code and their control flow. In this case, I have made the branches explicit, along with the conditions under which those branches are taken. To make the example easier to follow, let's assume we have two tests for this code. The first with inputs x equals 5 and y equals 5, and the second with inputs x equals 5 and y equals minus 5. If we consider branch coverage for this code using these two test cases, for the first test case, the condition is true. X is not equal to 0 and y is greater than 0, so we follow the true branch. For the second test case, the condition is false. X is not equal to 0, but y is not greater than 0, so we follow the false branch. In other words, these two test cases achieve 100% branch coverage on this code. If we look at the code, however, we can see that there is the possibility of making this code fail. Consider the statement that divides y by x. If x is equal to 0, we could have a division by 0. However, these two test cases, despite achieving 100% branch coverage, will not reveal this problem. So how can we test more thoroughly? I'll let you think about it for a second. The answer is that we can make each individual condition true and false instead of just considering the whole predicate. And that is exactly what is required by the next criterion we are going to consider, condition coverage. That means we could design two further test cases, 3 and 4. If we execute one of these additional test cases, we achieve 100% condition coverage. We define it, as usual, in terms of test items and coverage measure. In this case, the test items for condition coverage are the individual conditions in the program. We want each condition in the program to be both true and false in some execution. The way we measure it is by counting the number of conditions that were both true and false during test execution divided by the total number of conditions. This gives us the percentage of coverage achieved for condition coverage. Again, if you want to look at this criterion in the form of a question, it is, has each Boolean subexpression, that is, every condition in every predicate, evaluated to both true and false when we ran our tests? The next coverage is called Modified Condition Decision Coverage, also known as MCDC. This coverage is very important because it is often required for safety-critical applications. For example, the FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, requires that all software running on commercial airplanes be tested according to Modified Condition Decision Coverage. The FDA, Food and Drug Administration, imposes similar requirements in the pharmaceutical sector. So, what is the key idea behind the MCDC criterion? It is to test only the important combinations of conditions instead of all possible combinations, thereby reducing the testing cost and efforts by excluding the less important ones. The way it works is by extending branch decision coverage with the requirement that each condition should affect the decision outcome independently. Let's see what this means with an example that will also show you how you can reduce the number of combinations in this way. I'm going to show you an example of how MCDC works using this predicate, which consists of 3 conditions A, B, and C, all combined with logical AND. Thus, the overall predicate is A and B and C. The first thing I'm going to do is show how many test cases we would need to satisfy multiple condition coverage for this simple predicate. That means how many test cases we would need to test all possible combinations of true and false values for these conditions. I'm going to populate this table. As you can see, at the end we have 8 test cases. Each test case tests a different combination of values for A, B, and C. I'm also showing, for each test case, the result of the overall predicate. For example, in the first test case, A is true, B is true, and C is true. Therefore, the overall result of the predicate is true. Now let's consider the first condition, A. As I said earlier, what we want are the important combinations, the combinations in which a single condition independently affects the result of the overall predicate. If we look at the table, we can see that this is true for test cases 1 and 5. In these two test cases, the overall value of the predicate changes from true to false, and the only difference between them is the value of A. These two test cases satisfy exactly what we wanted, so we add these two test cases to our set. Now let's focus on B. We look for two test cases such that the only difference is the value of B, but the overall value of the predicate changes. In this case, test cases 1 and 3 satisfy that situation. B is true in the first and false in the second. A and C do not change, but the overall predicate result changes. Notice that we already had test case 1, so we only need to add one new test case. At this point, we have 3 test cases overall to cover A and B according to MCDC. Now let's look at the last condition, C. We are looking for 2 test cases that satisfy the same requirement. Test cases 1 and 2 are suitable candidates. Once again, since we already have test case 1, we only need to add test case 2. As you can see from this example, we went from needing 8 test cases to cover all possible combinations of conditions to only 4 test cases to satisfy the MCDC criterion. Now let's see where MCDC stands in our subsumption hierarchy. The MCDC criterion is stronger than both branch coverage and condition coverage. Why? Because it requires every single condition to be true and false, thus subsuming condition coverage, and it also requires every predicate to be true and false, thus subsuming branch coverage. In addition, it has the extra requirement that the true and false values of each condition must independently affect the outcome of the predicate. Therefore, it is stronger, more thorough, than branch coverage, condition coverage, and, as usual, also stronger than statement coverage. If you like it, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and click the bell. Never forget our upcoming sessions. If you have any questions or hints, please leave a comment. Our certified QA experts will reply in time or even produce a separate video about your topic. Please also check out our other over 200 videos about software quality. Happy testing! See you next time!